Facts About the War. Written and read by Rich Greenwood.
They were in bed when Kat said, "I heard scratching again last night." "You're kidding," said Tom. "No, not kidding. Same scratching, same scampering, same place too. Right in the eaves, back and forth. Ooh, it makes my skin crawl." "Well, I didn't hear it," said Tom. "You think I'm imagining it, Tom? You think I'm making it up? You sleep so deeply you wouldn't hear a Sherman tank if it was up there." "All right, Jesus, Kat. I just don't understand how it's getting back in. Those guys who did the loft did a pretty good job, if you ask me. You even said so yourself. I couldn't see any openings anywhere." "Well, it's getting in somehow, and you need to sort it out, Tom. I can't bear the thought of one being up there again. You'll have to get some more poison or something else. I don't know. I want it gone for good this time." "Okay," said Tom. "I'll do it in the morning." "Good. If I hear it again tonight, it has to be the last time, Tom. I mean it. Otherwise we're moving house." "Well, that's a bit drastic," he said. "I mean it, Tom. Okay. He tried it on then, but she wasn't having any of it. Just wasn't in the mood. The rat had invaded their house, and now it was killing the romance, and he couldn't be having that. That meant war. Giving up on it, he turned over and closed his eyes. He thought about defences. He thought about miniature motion sensor lasers, donuts laced with cyanide, industrial strength traps with 1,000,000 razor-sharp teeth. Maybe they could just get a cat to live in the loft. He was asleep in minutes as usual, well before the patter of tiny feet scampering again above their heads. The next day, he assembled his troops at the hardware store and practically danced back home with a whole bag full of the latest weaponry. There were crepe paper pouches filled with some sort of red putty, feed stations with sticky feet, and the latest promise in mechanical pest control to serve in their battalion, the Shark's Tooth pest-free ultra-power trap. He'd also got some of the pastries she liked from the bakery. He figured Kat would love it after another restless night, and he was in full-on cheer-up mode. It had worked a treat. His buoyancy that morning was only marred by the disappointment that you couldn't actually buy cyanide or any sort of rat-killing laser death machine. "All done," he said, as he came down from the loft and kissed the pastry shards from her lips. "Was there anything up there you could see?" she said. "Nothing except for scratch marks on the roof beams. Well, they look like scratch marks, but could have been anything really. All that's up there now is a rat world of temptation, wickedness, and misery. Says to check it all in a week for, bodies." "Is it the same stuff as before?" she said. "Similar, and then some," he said with a smile. "We've taken it up a notch this time. They won't know what's hit 'em." Tom felt like he was waiting for Christmas that week, and it dragged. Kat was still uneasy, but seemed a lot happier knowing that they had drawn the battle lines. She felt like there was light at the end of the tunnel, and it showed on her face from time to time, but she didn't want to be around come clean-up time. And after that week, she went over her sister's for afternoon tea. Tom was totally fine about that, and set to work after she'd gone. Armed with a mallet, bags, kitchen roll, and the brand-new marigolds he'd bought specifically for this job, Tom ventured up the attic ladder with a feeling somewhere between excitement and dread. He imagined 1,000,000 rats waiting for him when he opened the hatch, all lined up in defiance, with inch-long fangs ready to tear his face off in retaliation for what he tried to do to their kind. He inched the lid open slowly, his eyes darting around in the general direction of where he placed his army, but realized then that he couldn't see anything without switching the light on first. And as he reached up to flick it on, he sensed a faint and alien smell. Something off. Scanning the battlefield now that the light was on, he expected blood, bodies, carnage, and probably some of the dying that would need finishing off. But all that he could see was a single, solitary rat's arm in the trap. It had been severed and was clamped fast in the jaws. The ultra-power had done its work. Staring at the limb, he noticed it wasn't a clean cut, because the tiny bone was protruding from a stump of pink flesh, and he could see what he would swear to anyone were bite marks. Along with his disgust, a wave of guilt stoked the back of his neck, so he turned off the light and gently closed the hatch to get away from the hideousness of it all. Later that day, Kat found him nursing a cup of tea when she got home. He'd been sat like that, wondering about that limb, the bite marks, and just where do the rats go? The ones that eat the poison, and especially the one that was once attached to that limb. He was also thinking whether to tell her about what was left in the loft, and when she asked him, "Are they gone?" with a voice full of hope, he thought better of it. "Yep, I am the Lord and Master of all things Rattus Rattus, and they are begone. How was the afternoon tea, love?" "Oh, that's brilliant, Tom. I'm so happy you sorted it. No more scratching," she said. Tea was a drag, to be honest. Kerry wouldn't shut up about her new fella Scott, but there was some great news to come out of it. He says he's got a firm that are looking for an engineer. Someone who can look after their machine, like you. Like an in-house fixer on a permanent basis. She was really pleased telling Tom about this. And Tom, also excited, had suddenly forgot all about that limb now. He'd been out of work for 3 months and was seriously starting to consider a career with Avon. "Oh, really? What sort of machines are they? What do they do at this firm?" He was beside himself with excitement now. She said, "There are printers. Massive warehouse thing over in Vanderlei. They got those big machines for printing newspapers and all of the digital stuff too. It'd be right up your alley. It'd save them having to contract out the work like they do at the moment. So she said for you to give him a ring tomorrow." "This is a great day," he beamed. "I'll ring him first thing." And just like that, Tom was back in a job doing what he loved, fixing things for people, and the pay was great too. The only bad thing was he usually came home covered in printing ink and it drove Cat up the wall, but apart from that, everything was peachy, and he'd completely forgotten all about the limb in the loft until the day of the first call about the war. The voice on the end of the line was itchy, like there were gnats all over him on a hot summer's day, and slick, like whoever was talking had too much saliva in their mouth, and they had to keep sucking it out as they talked. "Hello, Tom," the voice on the line said, but it slid down the line like, "Hello, Tom." "Who's this?" said Tom, after seeing the unknown caller ID. "You wondered a question, Tom, and I'm here to answer it." Confused and about to hang up thinking it was some sales call or other, Tom said, "I'm at work here and can't really talk now." The voice said, "Oh, but you should talk now. I imagine that what I have to tell you is something you'll want to hear." Tom was getting impatient now, but there was something about the voice, something bordering on sinister that made him ask, "Why is that? And what's this question I was, what did you say, wondering?" The voice on the other end made a sniffing, almost snorting sound, and Tom could have sworn there was triumph in it when he said, "You wondered where the rats go." Tom's mouth dropped open. "And I'm here to tell you they come to me," said the voice. "One in particular came to me recently, in the darkest of pain. He was unfixable, Tom, and that was all your doing. That poor soul had chewed his own arm off from his dying body, and I couldn't save him, Tom. Imagine the pain he was in trying to get home. Imagine the look in his face when he begged me to help him. You went too far this time, Tom. You thought your war was over, but I'll promise you, it's only just begun." "Who are you?" said Tom, cowering disbelief in his voice. "I am Uri of the old world. and our kind will come for you one day, Tom. You'll never see us coming, but we will. We thrive in the dark, scheme in the shadows, and we will avenge our wretched fallen." The line went dead before Tom could say anything else. He never told Cat about the limb, and couldn't very well tell her about this. What would he say anyway? That some rat man had threatened him? No, he thought. Best keep this to himself. She'd only worry, and he was sure it was someone messing with him anyway. He went back to work, trying to think who it could be. Years passed since that call, and Tom never heard from the voice again, and he never said a word to Cat. Eventually, he just pushed it to the back of his mind, and it was as good as forgotten. But it was Cat who got the second call about the war. But this time, it wasn't from Muir and I. "Cat, it's Kelly. Scott's just called. Tom's been in an accident at the printers. I think you should get down to the hospital right now." "Oh my God, is he okay? What's happened?" Cat's hand was up to her mouth in a fist. "I'm not sure. They've said he's got caught in one of the machines when he was fixing it, and it's turned on by itself or something. I don't know all the details. They said the wires were all chewed up. It's looking like he's going to lose his arm."